Welcome to Disaster Planning for Nonprofits. Let's talk about culture and how to shape a disaster-ready culture. This video is intended to explain the 3 ways that culture shows up in an organization and what a disaster-ready culture looks like. It gives you a few steps to take action on your culture so you are ready for whatever might be coming your way. Let's define culture first. Culture is the way a group of people comes together. It has both visible and invisible aspects and is often compared to an iceberg because 90% of an iceberg is below the waterline and can't be seen. We want to create a culture that supports our mission and our values. Culturally generally shows up in 3 ways: artifacts, behavior, and underlying values. Let's talk about each of these with examples related to disaster planning. Artifacts are the stuff of your organization. If we were to walk around your office or places where you meet, what would we see? Well, we may need to look into boxes or binders to find what we're looking for. We hope to see these documents or tools by the time you complete the Disaster Planning for Nonprofits series. A Go Kit with key documents and inventories, backups of computer files and photos, communication tools to be able to stay in touch with internal and external audiences, partner MOUs or agreements in any form that show that you are ready to collaborate and get through a disaster. The second way that culture shows up is behavior. Behavior has to do with people, what you can observe or witness when team members interact with each other. Behaviors include formal conversations about disaster planning, casual conversations between colleagues, meeting participation when talking about disaster planning, body language when disaster planning is on the agenda. Finally, there are your underlying values. Remember our iceberg analogy? We are now below the surface of the water. You can't see these, but they define your culture. It is one thing for a nonprofit board to say that disaster planning matters. How your words match up with your actions is more important. These invisible elements include values placed on safety and risk, assumptions about your readiness, attitudes about talking about risk, unspoken rules, beliefs, and habits. So we have the stuff of your organization, what we can see or hear, and that which we can't see or hear but we feel in our bodies. Let's talk about how to implement a disaster-ready culture in your organization. The first step is to know what your culture is now. Take time to reflect on these 3 ways that culture shows up and what someone would see or experience with your organization. Grab a piece of paper, turn it into 3 columns, and write down what your culture is now. Then write down what you want it to be. Remember, you can change culture. The first step is to put sunlight on it and talk about what pieces of your culture could be tweaked to better serve your mission. Choose just one thing to work on, if that moves you forward. A second step involves bringing disaster conversations anywhere they need to be to normalize them. That probably means your board meetings, staff meetings, client meetings, wherever people are gathered and planning programs. Bring in data from your local government on what disasters they are preparing for. Discuss what would happen to your organization if that disaster actually happened. Practice explaining to each other why it matters that you are disaster ready. Once people know why it matters, what to do follows more easily. A third step, build a disaster planning team. While it is helpful to have one point person who is the keeper of the movement, it takes many hands and a variety of perspectives to get it done. Finally, be a learning organization by paying attention to disasters in other communities, or even those faced by nonprofits in your own community. Watch the headlines. What happened? And what did they do? Bring these examples back into your organization to practice problem solving, to keep people motivated. Your mission matters. By building a disaster-ready culture, you will improve your chances of getting through whatever disaster is headed your way.